Okay, so what comes out of my mouth now, I'm hopeful this is God's words. Just to put a caveat on this, I'm not a religious man at all. I have never belonged to a religion, never will, never picked up a Bible, never intend to. Not that there's anything wrong with the Bible. There's some stuff in there that I've come across, but I'm not somebody who's open to all their doctrines. Having said that, I have been an initiate of the teachings of the Gnostics. It's the ancient mystery schools for the last 38 years. So what I'm going to say to you now is directed primarily at where we're at, and I ask you, the listener, to think about how did we get into this situation? Well, I'll tell you, and it's got worse since the smartphone came in. That is your direct connection to AI. And I can tell you that chaos has always worn red lipstick. Now, that's not to demonize all women, but women today, and I'm talking about women born after the 80s, have no integrity in general. They are now in a state of usury on men. Men born after the year 1996 to now have allowed themselves to be used by women no end, and it's never going to stop. So you've given your power away. I won't call you guys because I don't know what you are these days. You're halfway between LGBT, gay, thinking about cutting your member off or whatever you're doing. You're a fucking mess, to be honest. So when you combine all this, you've got a problem where the control faction, which is off-world, it's called the Chimera species, and it runs all the way down through the Archons, the Reptilians, into Judaism, and then to Freemasonry that controls all of this shit that goes on down here in 3D, and right down to the cop on the street, who's also a member of the Freemasons. Most of them are. What do you think that band, blue and white, is on their head? They made it blue so it wouldn't be so obvious, but the Freemasons use black and white. But check it anyway. Anything checkered is a Freemason member. Right. So how have they been able to get away with this? Well, the powers that be, which won't be forever, by the way, have fractured mankind and womankind by the very fact that those religions, the four basic ones, Catholicism, obviously Christianity, the Muslims, the Buddhists, and whatever one I've forgotten. But those four factions equate to about 4.5 billion people who are under the control of these doctrines by the very fact that their doctrine took God out of man and externalized it somewhere out there, when God is actually within, right here. That's your soul right there. God is within you. So when you allow this to happen, the fracturing just continued on generation by generation by generation, and it's been happening for 45,000 years. That's when it all started. That's when the Chimera species came to a place off-world and controlled this planet. It was there for the taking. So because you're fractured, you allowed a control grid system to come in where you were given a new identity. And that identity is under the control of the controlling faction, the Chimera species, right down to the cop on the street. The governments are all corrupt. They are corporations. They are a cult, a global cult. None of them, no wars are ever fought between factions. I've said this before. They are all colluded. They are all one thing, and they play this fucking game and kill millions of people who are ignorant to the fact that that's the game. Because there's big money in war, and they don't give a shit about the deaths, right? They don't care. So you have a recycle system when souls pass on, they don't get past the junction of the third and fourth dimension. They are captured there. What do you think that black cube on the top of the Jew's head when they go to their Wailing Wall? That is the worship of Satan. Saturn is Satan's domain. Jews are the only ones that do not go to the light. They're taught this in their synagogues. Don't go to the tunnel, you go into the darkness, because they're Satan's children. Right? That's a fact. Now, as I said, chaos has always worn red lipstick, and the system knew that. Now, what are they doing? Women now are able to absolutely destroy men, because men have no guard really, apart from just abstinence, staying away from them. Because women have got, I'm not talking about all women, but the large majority, they are there to extract, they are there to use, they are there to destroy, they are there to absolutely lead men down the garden path into an abyss. So this is not to totally demonize women, and it's not to totally demonize a faction of men. But you know who you are. And listen, I'm looking through rose-coloured glasses, right? I have to, because I've never been what you could say perfect, fucking far from it. I've done all the shit in the simulation. But you're living in a simulated world because you're fractured so badly that you have no identity. So it was easy for that faction to come in, the off-world one, and just take you over. Here is the problem with that, and it's a fucking big problem. When you pass away this time, there is no reincarnation back to planet Earth. That door is closed. And the AI will take over everything. What does AI run on? Data. Who supplies the data? Human beings. What's going to happen when there's no more data and the chimera species which feeds off that data has no more? Then it's the Ouroboros effect. AI starts to chew into it. So then there's total dissolution of that control faction. It will be gone. Then Earth is closed. Then Earth can heal and probably not have any inhabitants on it for the next 1 million years, 2 million years. I don't know, but it'll be a long time, because the Earth would have healed and upgraded itself, and any souls that were here that didn't do the work of knowing that the Father was in, the God within, the one that gave you life, is not frequency specific to come back into this realm. Now, in the books that I've written, I talk about this is my last walk in this density. How do you think I can talk like this? This is not scripted. I didn't read books to find this shit out. This came via God's mind. I was the cartographer for 2 of those books, and I recorded it all. This is a warning to women and men. Moreover, the women. Chaos wore, and it's always wore, red lipstick because it was the easiest faction to intercept and to corrupt against man. So, ladies, don't do what you were doing. You are, because your soul is so fractured, it will never be able to go into cohesion again. You will be a shard that drifts off. Souls can be so fractured and destroyed that they never form a cohesive whole again. And that's where you're headed. Wake up, start living like you were meant to live. You be a woman, let the man be a man, and then you might have a chance. Because where you're headed now, you got no fucking chance at all.